draconians, horrible as they were, had intelligence and skill. These were more like rodents. Not kin to me, Smil thought. Not now, not ever. She snapped her teeth at the kobold before her, but it backed away more quickly than she expected. Milan and Elric each faced one kobold, while another grinned at Rama and Talon. "What is this?" it asked in a raspy voice. It eyed the girls. In that moment of hesitation, Rama sent bolts of fire at the kobold. The bolts struck it, and it crumpled to the ground dead. "Ow!" Talon yelped as Samil's kobold leaped back onto Samil's head and tried to stab her with its spear. Samil whipped her body back and forth, trying to get rid of the kobold, but it clung like a leech. Talon raised her dagger and ran haltingly towards Samil. For a minute, Samil thought Talon was going to plunge the weapon into Samil's eyes. Then the weight on Samil's back slackened and fell off. Samil turned to face the kobold lying on the ground. Talon had struck a good blow, planting her dagger in the kobold's thigh. It was far from finished, however. Samil grabbed its little body in her mouth and flung it away down the passage, where it crawled into a passage too narrow for Samil to follow. "Did I get it?" Talon asked, peering into the passage. "Not entirely," Elric said. "You maimed it pretty well, though. Where did you learn to do that?" Talon rubbed her head. "It's amazing what one can do when something is beating you about the head." "The others?" Rama asked. Malad pointed to 2 dead kobolds farther up the cave, and shook his head in disgust. "We find groups of them every so often. Most of the time they keep to themselves, but sometimes they decide to try something on us." "Will that one return?" Talon asked, looking in the direction the kobold she wounded had retreated. "Not for a long time. Kobolds are easily scared off, at least the ones I've run into here. If it does have friends here, it will have told them about us." "Told them not to face us," Elric grinned, slapping Rama and Talon on the back. The girls smacked him back, but were smiling too. Samil did not feel happy at all. Even though they weren't draconians, their appearance had shaken her. Would anything remotely resembling a dragon make her think of her siblings forever? As they resumed their pace through the cave, Malot said, "I'm not surprised the kobolds came here. The pool attracts many creatures, both good and evil. This is why we try to keep it as secret as possible. We already have enough on our hands without all Kryn knowing about it." "I can see why," Elric gasped as they entered a perfectly round room that deepened into a basin filled with what appeared to be molten gold. As they moved closer, Samil could see it was water that had a deep golden color. "Stop," Malot said, before any of them could touch the water. "Only the one who seeks the pool may approach." He turned to Talon and Samil. "You must wade into the pool barefoot, my lady. Walk to the center, then look straight down." Talon looked at Malot uncertainly, then sat down on a rock to remove her well-worn leather shoes. Gathering her blue robes carefully in both hands, she waded into the pool. Samil waded after her, raising waves with every step. The pool was warm and soothing, but Samil couldn't tell if that was something she or Talon felt. Probably both. At the center, the pool rose almost to Talon's chest and Samil's upper legs. They stood there unmoving for a moment. "Do we look together?" Samil asked Talon. "I guess so. On 3? Talon counted, and they tilted their heads down and gazed into the pool. The pool rushed towards Samil's face while simultaneously pulling her in, and she felt a sudden dizzy movement where up became down and down became up. As she regained her balance and looked around, she realized that she was no longer in the cave. She stood in a lush forest, unlike any she had ever seen. The trees, a strange bluish-green color, bursting with flowers and apples at the same time, and the sky a deep midnight blue. A voice called to her in Draconic. Youngling! A dragon to talk to, at last! Overjoyed, Samil turned to see a large silver female walking toward her. The silver dragon settled in front of Samil and smiled. "I see you're learning about humans," the silver dragon said. "Rather interesting, aren't they?" "Not at all," Samil said. "I'd be happy if I'd never met 'em." The silver dragon eyes clouded. "Then you must still be joined to this human. The good dragons and humans are very different, but they have much to offer each other. You will remain joined until you understand this lesson." "No!" Samil cried as the silver dragon turned to walk away. "I have to be free of this human. I must return to my mother." The silver's head swiveled back to look Samil deeply in the eye. Why can't you return to your mother with the human? She asked. The human doesn't stop you. Look inward. You will learn much if you return to her. But we need to understand this pendant to end the spell. Samil switched her tail like a whip, knocking apples from the tree she hit. You reach beyond the mark, little one. Understand the human, not the pendant, and be honest with the human as well as yourself. The silver dragon blinked once, and Samil felt the pull of the pool again. She rose out of the pool, gasping for breath. Talon stood beside her, coughing out gold water. I hope you found out more than I did, Samil said as they waded out of the pool. A knight said I have to follow you to lift the spell. Talon kicked at the water. I learned nothing. A silver dragon told me we should go see my mother, Samil said. Talon was silent. Samil could almost hear the thoughts tumbling in the girl's head. Surely she wouldn't want to enter a dragon's lair. It's ridiculous, but I'll follow you, Talon said at last. I think we need to listen to what the knight and dragon told us. Not so ridiculous, Malot said. Follow me. I think I should show you something before we leave these caves. They traveled up a narrow passage, slick with water that sparkled almost as much as the pool. Finally, they entered a warm circular chamber. 10 guards ringed the cave, all with spears or swords in hand. One guard stood beside a huge woodpile, stoking a huge fire that burned in the center of the room. Its light glinted off, the specks of gold everywhere. The guards raised their weapons as soon as Malot entered the room, then put them down again when they recognized him. I thought it was time you all knew what the treasure of Mountain Home is, Malot said. It's not the magical pool, although that is a treasure. Never before has an outsider seen this, but the pool spoke to both of you, and that tells me to trust you. The room glittered even more brightly than the pool, a familiar brightness that Samil couldn't place. In that fire, a cluster of objects shone brighter than the fire. Once her eyes adjusted to the light, Samil knew what they were. She cried out. Eggs! Elrit exclaimed, looking sideways at Talon. Dragon eggs! A gold dragon came to Mountain Home during the war. She needed a place to lay her eggs, and this was the only cave she found suitable. She was still here when the Draconians attacked. She defended us, but she had already been weakened in a battle farther north. Malot's jaw quivered. Before she died, she told some of us where her eggs were hidden, and asked that we keep them in the open flame, because that's the only way a gold dragon's eggs will ever hatch. All who swore to protect them took the name Argwatch from that day forward. Samil could no longer bear it. She collapsed on the floor of the chamber, sobbing. It's all my fault, Samil said. It wouldn't have happened if I hadn't been so silly. The gold dragon dying? Talon asked, her violet eyes wide. You weren't even here for that. Not that, Samil cried. My siblings, they're gone because of me. They were stolen and turned into Draconians because of me. And that is the end of chapter 16.